Online estimators, guesstimating. So how the heck do we use online estimators to guesstimate foods without the facts?
Ooh.
Well, first off, what is it? It's kind of what I just led into right there. It's when you use a chain restaurant's online nutrition calculator. Yes, there are some that have them to guesstimate the facts for you. It's super, super helpful. I wish all of them had this, to be honest.
Yeah, I like it.
Here's a couple helpful scenarios. There's actually quite a few. And if you actually allow yourself to search and or utilize the guesstimator, we've given you quite a few online estimators. One of the things is like breakfast. So there's a lot of places out there that you can use pancakes, biscuits. Yes, there's online estimators for biscuits. Mexican spots are super popular. We're talking tacos, burritos, quesadillas. We got, like your Chipotles, your Freebirds, those type of style restaurants, those fast casual ones.
Yep.
Even there's sandwich estimators online, all types of different ones so that you could build your own sandwich. There's barbecue ones. So for instance, if you're going to a barbecue spot, you could do meat dishes. They got barbecue sandwiches. They got the sides there as well. And of course, one of our favorites, pizza.
Yep.
Yep, because now there are all types of fast casual pizza restaurants that have nutrition calculators that you can utilize when you go to these build your own pizza spots.
But these are great tools because I know a lot of times you're like, well, I'm not going to that specific restaurant. Doesn't mean that you have to go to this specific restaurant because a lot of times these style of restaurants may not have nutrition facts, but you can utilize these calculators to plan your meal at a different spot.
Yep. A couple of things to know. And so when we're thinking about these like online estimators and the foods that we're estimating, it's like, okay, well, what's going to affect the calories and the estimator that I'm choosing? Well, so for instance, if we're thinking about pizza, well, like the crust, your sandwich bread, the tortilla, like what are you eating? Because, if we're talking like a deep dish crust versus a crispy thin crust, like those are going to be massively different, right?
Yep.
Same thing with like bread, even like tortilla sizes and whatnot. Toppings, like what are you filling it with? What are you topping it with? Are there any sauces that you're using? Because like pesto sauce is vastly different when it comes to calories and macronutrients than red wine vinegar, right? But if these estimators don't have the exact option like that you're getting, then is there something that would be comparable? So like maybe they don't have pesto on their menu, but they have an aioli. And we know that, like pestos and aiolis, like they tend to be high in fats. So it would probably be similar in regards to calories that you're using.
Yep. Or it's a great place to do a little bit of a combo method because you can build
Yep.
up without the sauce and then add your own sauce later.
Exactly. And then sizing, like how big are we talking? Are
Oh.
we talking we're doing like an 11-inch pizza? Are we talking, a 22-inch pizza? What does this look like, right? And then of course, how much are you going to be eating of it?
And like we talk about all the time, it's just being honest with your calculations, estimations, all those fun things. Because like she said, a pizza is not just a pizza. So if you're going to be using these calculators, do your best to get as close to what you're actually eating. So that way it's a helpful tool.
Exactly. And a couple other things to note is that some calculators are more modifiable than others. So for instance, like even McDonald's, you can use their calculators to modify what it is that you're getting. So with those ones, they don't typically let you add ingredients, but you can remove ingredients so that you can then get the calories for what you would be ordering. And then, of course, you could add in like, oh, I know that this is the amount of calories for an extra meat patty or whatever. And then you can add that later on. Serving sizes. So some will actually say the serving size like in weight, but not all of them. It'll just be like one serving. But as you know, like you can always call or look up their PDF because sometimes they will have, not only do they have an online like calculator, but they typically will have a PDF version that you can find by Google searching or finding it on their website. And sometimes those PDFs have a little bit more information in them than the actual calculators themselves.
Yep.
All right, let's do a pizza calculator online estimator example because we do this all the time.
Yep.
Let's be real. So when it comes to pizza estimators, well, first thing, like search for a calculator. There are a shit ton that I have provided inside of the Guesstimator, so be sure to check out those. But once again, when it comes to pizza, like what kind of crust are we talking? Are we talking, like is it a deep dish? Typically, those build your own, like the mods, the blazes. There's other ones that are,
Pizza press out here.
Pizza press. They typically have very similar crusts. They're all like a similar style. It's just a different restaurant. Is it deep dish, New York, Detroit? Is it gluten-free? Is it a cauliflower pizza, right? And then what size? We talking small, medium, large? We going for 11-inch, 16, 22? What does that look like? What are you topping it with? How much are you eating, right?
Yep.
So this is, it was a create your own. This is Pizza Press. They're actually really good. They have some in Orange County if you've never been, but they have a couple like nationwide. But most, like oftentimes these create your own pizzas are around an 11-inch pizza.
Yep.
If they don't say it on the website, you could probably call and they could tell you, but they range around 11 inches. Sometimes they'll have a large that's like 16 inches, and they will say it on the calculators. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but do your research, right?
And don't be scared to ask questions.
Don't be scared to ask questions. Okay, so searching for calculators, you can do pizza nutrition calculator. Once again, you could check out the Guesstimator for options. Here was a couple. Domino's also great spot. But like Domino's pizza is going to be a different pizza crust than what we're utilizing for our create your own pizza, which is why we decided to go with the Blaze pizza calculator.
So it's closest to what we would be ordering.
Yes, so very similar in crust, similar in sizes, similar in toppings. And so we chose this, and you can see it's super simple. It says, all right, select your item. All right, I'm going to select my item. I'm going to create an 11-inch pizza. It's going to be a build your own. Obviously, they also have like their own preset menus, which you could choose as well. And then you can see here's the dough. Like, well, what kind of dough are we doing? Pick the dough that you would be ordering, and then pick your sauces and your toppings. So for instance, are we doing cheese? How much cheese? What are the meats that we're doing? If they don't have the exact type of thing, once again, find something that would be comparable with regards to like macronutrients. Like let's say they don't have bacon, but they have sausage. Bacon and sausage is probably pretty similar when you go to one of these places with the like fat and protein content that they have.
And when you're utilizing these tools, like the goal isn't to be, hyper legalistic or all
No.
crazy. It's to do your best to get as close to what you're going to be eating as possible. And then the fun part is if you do this before you go, then when you go, you know exactly what you're going to order. Because
Yep.
sometimes I know when you go and there's all these choices, like, oh man, what are we going to get? So if you sit down, think about it beforehand, build your pizza, go there with the amount of calories already set aside because you know exactly what you're going to get. When you go there, you get to just enjoy it because you know exactly what you're going to order.
Yep. And then this one in particular, so the way that it builds is it builds per slice and it tells you the amount. And so in the previous one, you can see like for one slice with all of these toppings that we chose and the finishing sauces and whatnot, it's around 240 calories. These are the breakdowns. But this one, you can add it to where it's like, all right, I'm going to have 3 slices. And then it gives you the total for 3 slices. You don't have to do that. You could obviously input it per slice, but it's totally up to you and what's easiest for you. Burrito calculators, one of our favorite ones as well, because especially even being from Southern California, there are a lot of little Mexican spots that do not have nutrition facts.
And that's definitely an excuse that we've heard over and over. It's like, oh, like it's my favorite taco shop. Like, how am I supposed to calculate this? I have no idea. There is ways.
This is a great way to do that. So Cabo Bob's Burrito, they have these monstrosities of sizes. But there is a place that we discovered called Freebird that is also out here, and they have a nutrition calculator. They also have monstrosities of burritos. Okay. So yes, there's also Chipotle, and a lot of these like fast casual places, they not only do they have burrito estimators, they even have nachos. They have tacos. You could do bowls. You could do quesadillas, salads, all of these different types of things.
So, and they're all customizable. So it's like, all right, cool, I'm going to get a burrito. I'm going to get this type of tortilla. This is what I want on the inside. I'm going to do double meat, whatever. And so it's like, obviously these burritos may look a little bit different than when you go to, a taco shop or some little mom and pop, but you could do your best to build it as close to that as possible. So you have something to work with.
Yeah. And like, if we're reflecting back for a moment on like tortilla sizes, most we'll say standard size tortillas are around 12 inches. And like, these are what these calculators use. I will tell you, There's a place that we've gone that's called Cali Tacos. They have specialty 16-inch tortillas. And so, yes, obviously it's going to be a bigger tortilla. So you can do your best to like, let me add in a couple extra 100 calories for the extra size tortilla that I'm going to get for that, or drop the tortilla in this estimator and then add in your own tortilla to match accordingly.
Yep.
But for instance, this Freebirds, so they have different sizes. So they all use a 12-inch tortilla, but essentially what they have is they have their monster burrito, a Freebird burrito, a super monster, and a half bird. And you're like, what the fuck are these? If you didn't know, you could totally call them, or you can Google search and ask, like, what's the difference between a monster and a Freebird burrito? So in this case, the monster and the Freebird is basically the monster just has a lot more ingredients on the inside. So it's like super stuffed. Freebirds are regular, so they use the same tortilla. And then the super monster, they use two 12-inch tortillas.
Yep.
All right. So this thing is a kahuna. All right. And then a half bird is basically just a half of a regular burrito. Next, then here's a couple of their proteins and fillings and toppings. A lot of these calculators, they'll ask you like, because when you go to Chipotle, could you add a little more meat to that? Oh, you want extra meat. Oh, that means you want double meat. Yes, they actually have that built into the calculator.
Yep.
And a lot of these places, Freebirds in particular, they actually, just like you are learning and finding out, they do eyeball scoop testing.
For all their employees. It's like, all right, cool. How close do you get to the actual serving size?
Yep.
They quiz them on a regular basis to do their best to control food costs, but that helps you to know, like, all right, cool, like we're probably getting close to the serving size that they designate on their website.
Exactly. So you'll pick the the meat, the fillings that you have. Are you adding rice? Are you not adding rice? Is there any extra? Is it going to be extra cheese? Are you like, oh, I need some more cheese? They even have that option on here. They even have cauliflower rice, which is super cool. But then essentially you put in all the stuff and guess what? Look, it gives you the exact nutrition facts on there based on what you're going to be consuming.
Even the macro breakdown.
Even the macro breakdown. So it is incredibly helpful. But in conclusion, use a nutrition calculator to help utilize your, get closer to guesstimating. They're incredibly helpful. If they don't have the exact ingredients, you could obviously pick something that is similar, or as he had mentioned earlier, just like, hey, if they don't have pesto, then I'll just add pesto on my own outside of this nutrition fact that I got here.
Yep. And with all this is like, do your best to critically think. It may not have the exact answer, but you can utilize the tool in a way that allows you to get to the answer that you're looking for. Because even if it's something like the McDonald's one where you can only subtract, and if it's like, oh, I want extra cheese, you can take away cheese and see how much it drops. You know, if you're going to double it, it's like, all right, cool. I just add back 2 of those. And now I know how much it is for extra cheese or whatever. It's like, it may not have the capability, but that's where it's your job to kind of critically think on how can I use this to get the answer that I'm looking for.
Yep. But be sure to check out our other guesstimation lessons to learn more about different methods. And of course, if you have questions, submit them.